Yeah,
Good
good
morning.
afternoon. Good morning. Yeah, my screen is visible. Biodiversity threats and conversation, conservation,
Yes,
sorry.
it is.
Okay,
Yes, it's
okay,
visible. Yeah.
okay. And it is moving?
Yes, it's moving. Causes of
Oh,
biodiversity loss.
okay, fine. So, today we have already completed unit 1 to 7, and today we are going to have unit 8. And this is regarding the biodiversity threats and conservation. So, in last session, we have already known what is biodiversity. Biodiversity is diversity which is at different levels, at species level, at genetics level, and at individual level. So, now we are going to understand what is the reason and what are the causes due to which the biodiversity is getting lost. So, the prime reason for biodiversity loss is land use changes. Land use changes means we are changing the utilization pattern of a land. For example, if a particular land is a forest and we clear that forest and convert into a barren land, and then we make roads over it or building over it, so we are changing the land use characteristics of that particular land. So because we have a lot of uh, we need to have more development, so we are clearing the forest land and convert it into other land resources. So when we are destroying the forest, then it is biodiversity loss is there. Then second reason is carbon dioxide changes, because there are so many pollution, because there are so many sources of carbon dioxide, so the level of carbon dioxide is increasing, and because of that global warming is increasing, and this is resulting into climate change. You must have seen there are a lot of places the temperature is now increasing. Earlier it was 35 degrees Celsius maximum, so now it is getting 40 degree. Now it is, I mean, over decade of period there are so many changes in our temperature. So basically due to carbon dioxide increase and climate change, two main thing happens. The first one is temperature rises, temperature increase, and second thing is that rainfall pattern changes. So because of this temperature increase in and rainfall pattern changes, like in some area there was no rainfall, so now the shift is there. So the area which was drier has become more drier, and there is rainfall is now so much reduced over period of time. Yeah, Hosea, is it clear to you?
Yes, Mara. It's
You
clear.
have seen certain these kind of changes over period of time in Africa also.
Yeah, because now it's become very hot in my region. However,
Yeah.
normally the temperature should not be like that,
Hmm.
and we lack of rain.
Yeah. So this pattern, because of this changes a lot of there is a lot of diversity changes also, because when the temperature is will increase, so many species are not able to survive in that in that temperature. So the diversity will be lost, and many plants and animal will be, they will die and they will not be again in the system. Then similarly, if there is less rainfall also, Then also the plants and animals will die, and if they die before their reproduction, then again their population will be decreased. So slowly, because of these changes, there is a shift in the plants and animals and the birds and the reptile, and there is overall loss of biodiversity. Then fourth reason is biological invasion. Biological invasion is a process, as the name suggests. Biological means we are using certain biological agent for change in a biodiversity. For example, we have brought some plants which are not native to that area, because that plant is very beautiful, or whether it is commercially used. And slowly, what happened, when we grow that plant in a newer area, it will invade the whole area. I mean, because of high competition rate, it will cover all the area, and the host species, the native species of that area will be lost. So that is another reason for biodiversity loss. Then air pollution is another major reason for biodiversity loss, because due to air pollution, a lot of plants are not able to take up the um they are not able to many plants are able to survive only in healthy fresh air. When the air is more polluted, then that particular plants and animals will move around. But what happened to plant are there only, so they will be slowly lost. So these are the main reason by which biodiversity loss happens. Another thing is habitat loss. What is habitat? Habitat is an area where the particular plant or animal or particular species lives. So basically, for human beings, for us, it is a building or it is a room. Okay. But for an animal, but for a plant, it is the area where they get their food, they get their shelter, and where they reproduce. Reproduce means produce children. Okay. So for bird, it could be a tree. So trees should be there. There they can have their nest, and then there they can have reproduce. Similarly, for animals, they should also have places to survive. They should have place where they get food, they get shelter, and they reproduce. So if that habitat is lost, if we cut down that tree, if we cut down that forest, then there is no place to live for that animals. So slowly, their population will decline. And when they decline, then again their biodiversity will be lost, and the species diversity will be very less. Most of this reason is because of alteration of their habitat. For example, if we look into a pond or a lake, so many diverse fish are there, plants are there, small animals, zooplankton, phytoplankton are there. But if the water is lost, or if we convert that lake into a land area, then the entire ecosystem will be lost. So these plants, animal, they are losing their habitat, the place where they get food, shelter, and place for reproduce. Okay. So let us understand how coral reefs are one of the most fragile ecosystem on this earth. And these are located in um, coastal area, and they are very susceptible to change in the water. For example, if the water is not clean and clear, then they are going to be lost. Lots of coral reefs are destroyed because of pollution in the marine environment, in the sea water. So, if there is a change in temperature or rainfall, or sorry, or sea level, or there is a introduction of pollutants and sediment, if there is pollution, if there is soil or sediment within the water, then it is all going to affect the population of these coral reefs. So these coral reef are highly fragile ecosystem on this earth. Then other oceanic islands are like mangrove, we have estuaries, and there also a lot of diversity is there. And these all fragile ecosystem are restricted. They are the species are vulnerable for they are under threat. And because of that, a lot of species are getting extinct. One of the example is that oceanic islands. I think you must have seen small islands in the oceans, and due to change in the water level, many times that islands are getting under the water. So because of that, so many continental species are now being lost, because these islands, they have very uh, distinct kind of species which you cannot get anywhere. So it will result in the wipe out of all the continental species and all the island species. So these oceanic, the islands which are in oceans, they are also very susceptible to the biodiversity loss. Similarly, this is an example of a habitat island. Habitat island is another islands which is used by many plants and animals as a habitat. Like this island is not only supporting these trees and plants, but these are also supporting some of the animals which are present in the water. There are many species which come to the land area for breeding. Similarly, there are many animals which move out to the water for breeding, for reproduction. So, if their habitat is lost, then again their population will decrease. They are not going to reproduce further. So, because of loss of these islands, biodiversity loss is happening, and biodiversity loss is affecting the species endemism. Species endemism we have learned in the last session. Do you have any idea, Horse, what is endemism?
Sorry, I don't have any idea of it.
Okay.
But maybe it's
Basically,
something.
yeah.
Maybe it's something
Species.
that is only present in this place. Maybe.
Yeah, no. Endemism means some species are endemic to a particular area. Endemic means these species can grow only in that area, and if that area is lost, like in this slide, you can see one island. If some particular animal is there, which is living in this island for so thousands and thousand years, if this island is lost in water due to any reasons, due to tsunami, due to cyclone, due to any reason, then the entire species will be lost. So species endemic means it is endemic to a particular area, and we cannot find that particular species, that particular animal or plant in any other part of the world. So these are species and endemics. Habitat destructions we already just have learned. Felling of trees for land, then destruction of mangrove sites. Mangrove sites, we know the area which is between the uh, when the river water meets the ocean, then they form the mangrove ecosystem. So many times we cut down that mangrove forest and convert that land area into aquaculture, and we grow prawns there and fishes there. So okay, we are going to have fish and prawns, but the diversity in that mangrove area is lost because of this destruction of the habitat. Okay, so natural habitat is getting wiped out, and due to this biodiversity loss is there. Then mining and destruction of coral reefs. Coral reefs are many times, many of the coral reefs are we are mining it for many beautification purpose. We are using it for many purpose. So because of mining, we cut down, we use some nails in the underwater, but it will destroy the entire structure of the coral area. So because of mining also, the coral habitat is getting their population, their that is getting lost. Then conversion of wetlands into other land use. Wetlands are the areas which is having water for sufficient time. So we call that area as a wetland. There is a land area and there is a water area, like a river, lakes. These are water area. So what is wetland? Wetland are the area which is having sufficient amount of water so that a ecosystem develop there. So we call that ecosystem as a wetland ecosystem. Examples are like of lakes, pond. In a small area, when we fill up it with water, after some time you can see small green plants will come up there, and then animals will fishes will come up there. So slowly wetland area develop. But many times due to development work, we convert that land area, we fill the land soil over it, and we convert into the land area and use that land for any other purpose. So again, that wetland ecosystem is lost. So many biodiversity species will lost. Then we are doing over extraction of timbers and fuel wood. This is also destroying the forest habitat. Then many times we do the shifting cultivation is that in certain area, hilly area, generally what the people do, they grow crops in a particular area, and they burn that area and then do the cultivation in another area. So we can say we are shifting the cultivation in different pocket of area, but when we are burning that area, again the nutrient will be lost. So nutrient will be lost, that biodiversity will be lost, and the habitat of many or living organisms depending on that area will be lost. So we should minimize this shifting cultivation. Now many local people, local community have now stopped this kind of cultivation. Damming of rivers. Damming of river is another very important reason for habitat destruction. In many rivers, we construct the dam to store the water. But what happens after the after this for creating these large dams? We do a lot of construction there, and due to these constructions and stopping the flow of water, the siltation and sedimentation occurs. What is siltation and sedimentation? Generally, when water is flowing in a river, when water is flowing, it is carrying along with small amount of sediment particles or silt. But when we restrict the movement of any water body, so that silt and sediment will accumulate in that water body. So this is we called as siltation will happen. I think many you must have seen in rivers, you must have seen small pocket of area which is having only silt and sediment. Nothing is there. So slowly, because of siltation, the water loss will occur and the it will affect the entire river habitat. Then pollution is again the major reason. When the pollution is affecting us for being, so pollution is also affecting all the living organisms on this earth. They are affecting the living plants, they are affecting the animals. So because of pollution also, biodiversity loss is happening. Then there is a sometimes there is a human wildlife conflict. So what is human wildlife conflict? Many times we want certain animals, that these animals or plants are important to us, so we grow them in more quantity. For example, uh, we if we know a fish is very nutritious or a crab is very nutritious, so we tend to have more and more population fisheries of that in the water body. So because of that excessive number of one type of species, for example, we have seen the example of Atlantic halibut and Atlantic salmon and southern tuna. What is happening? Because these are ocean fisheries, and when we are doing excessive fishing, then it is affecting the habitat for the another plant, another animals. So there is a conflict. We are using any plants and animal for our purpose, so there is a conflict between wildlife and human being. For example, another example is that um, if crocodile is there in a river in a village, and that crocodile eats one human being, so generally what do? Either either we kill that crocodile, because that crocodile has become man eater. So for human benefit, we are killing that crocodile. But when we say in nature purpose, for environment purpose, crocodile is very important species for a food chain. So if we kill the crocodile, it is going to affect the other organism in that water body. So there is a conflict whether we should go against the animals or we should go for the animals. And sometimes there is a selective destruction of species. Means we select certain species and we use it for some times, then we throw we then after some times we don't use it. For example, in ancient times, I think you must be knowing, pigeons were used for sending the messages. So we don't have any postman, we don't have any email, no digital area. So if someone has to communicate the information to another country or another province, so they use passenger pigeons. Small message will be written and then it will be tied in their this in their foot, and then they are flew to the another area. But after some times, when there is more facility, there is more transportation, So we no longer use this passenger pigeon, but these are now extensively killed because the man started eating them. So initially we have grown their population, but after sometimes when they are no longer used, then we have destroyed that pigeon. So slowly now you cannot find this kind of pigeon because they are now destroyed and eaten by the human beings. Then domestication of selective species. Many times we domesticate animals, plants for certain for their products, and because of this many other species are affected. For example, we rear or a goat, then cattle like cow, buffalo for milking, for milk purpose, then poultry farms, sheep. We domesticate them, and when they are of no longer use, either we kill and eat them, or otherwise we will leave it as it is. So when if we do not kill or we do not eat them, then their population will increase slowly. So it will affect the other animals also, the native wildlife animal of that area. And when we reintroduce these domestic cattle to the forest area, then they are not able to survive there. Why? Because they have habit of having food in that in their room, in their domesticated area. So slowly they will lose the that potential to catch the animal and eat them, or to feed through the land. So domestication of selective species is again one of the reason for loss of the biodiversity. Then pesticide use. When we use pesticides, generally pesticides are used to kill the pest in a particular agriculture area. But what happens? In addition to the pest, many of the good insects and other animals are also affected by that. For example, if pollinator is there, honeybee population, these are getting affected because of pesticides. So many countries like United States, they have completely banned the DDT and PCB, but they are exporting into developing country. So this is certain wrong practice. If certain pesticide is harmful for environment in any place in any country, so it should be banned completely. It should not be that it should be there in one country, in other country it should be exported. So this should be not there, but it is in practice and it is happening. Even in India also, DDT and DDE, these are banned. But many farmers, because of this lack of knowledge, they are using it. And studies have found that these pesticides, they have lot of harmful effect. Even the reproductive abnormalities. Reproductive abnormalities means the future of the young ones of that particular animals, the child of that particular animals, they are going to get affected by these pesticides. So these pesticides like DDT, DDE, PCBs, these are getting accumulated in the future population also. We call it as a biomagnification. So this is very harmful for our environment and the animals also. Then global climate change, we have already talked about it. Because of increasing amount of carbon dioxide, there has been change in the rainfall pattern. There is a change in the atmospheric condition, and because of this, there are increased number of storms and there is an increased number of droughts. So many areas are facing water deficit, drought condition. Because of that, it is very difficult to survive in that area. Even in Africa also and India also, a lot of area are getting less of rainfall and more of the droughts because of high temperature and less rainfall. Then poaching of wildlife again, earlier, now it is banned in most of the countries, but earlier lot of rich people, they are hunting and exporting the animals like jaguar, tiger, their tiger for their skin, snow leopard for their skin, cheetah, they are hunted for their skins. Then elephants are hunted for their ivory tusk. Africa is having so many elephants. It's a place for elephants. Then rhinoceros. Rhinoceros are also hunted for their horns. So these are very means very such kind of animals which are being hunted a lot of in high numbers so that their population is getting decreases. Then commercial hunting is there. Now it is banned, but earlier it was there. Sports hunting, which was used for recreation, and however it is now more or less closed because population of animal has already decreased so much. So there is no question of now sporting of the animals. Then biological invasion, I already just have informed you. Invasive species. There are certain species which are invasive, which are alien, introduced or exotic species. Alien means alien species means those species which are not of that area and they are introduced to a new area, and there they go to that area, they are introduced there, and they convert the entire area with their they will increase in their population and they will invade that complete area. For example, in India, we have one water hyacinth plant, which has a very beautiful purple flower. So initially, it was not native to India, but it was brought to India by the Britishers because of beautiful flower. And that one plant, I mean that few plants which were come to this India by export, they have they have changed the native species entirely. Because when we grow this water hyacinth in a particular area, then it will cover the entire water area in very less um, number of time period of time. Similarly, Prosopis juliflora is also not part of India, but still it is flourishing so much. These are all introduced by travelers or the invaders, like British. We were in under the Britishers, or previous that Mughal civilization was there. So whenever people travel, so they bring certain species along with them, so they can change the habitat, change the population of that new area. So there is a need to conserve this biodiversity, and there is a need to conserve biodiversity at all the levels, at gene level, species level, and at ecosystem level. Okay, so how we can conserve at gene level? We should ensure that we should have more and more genetic diversity. For example, if we see particular crop species like rice plant, so we should have lots of variety of rice plants. We should have their genes so that if in case the future there is a change in environment, so the local species they have more potential to withstand that change. Okay, so the high genetic diversity will have more capacity to withstand the vulnerability of the changing environment. For example, if we plant a particular crop in a agriculture field, if insect attack is there, so it will wipe out all the plants. So monoculturing, that's why, is not a favorable condition of cultivation. We should maintain the diversity of plants during cultivation also. So we need to ensure the genetic diversity. So what are the measures how we can conserve the biodiversity? So there are two main ways by which we can conserve the biodiversity: in situ conservation and ex situ conservation. In situ means on the site. For example, when if we want to conserve a tiger or a lion, so we have to conserve that lion in that forest area only. Only then we can conserve it. Then ex situ conservation means we have to bring that lion in another area and do the conservation. So on site means conservation in the habitat area, and off site means we have to bring that species and then conserve it. Let us understand with the help of example. In situ means we have to conserve species in their natural environment. So how we can do it? We can have more and more protected areas for this kind of conservation. We should have national park. We should have sanctuaries, biosphere reserves, where we can species. If we conserve that entire area, so the animals present in that entire area, plants and animals both in that area will be conserved. So we should have national parks. There are many national parks in Africa also. This is the list. Let us understand what is basically in a national park. In national park area, generally we take up a area of importance. We take an area which is having a good biodiversity of good animals there, good plants there, and there is a core area. There are two core areas and there is a corridor between them. So this core area and uh, corridor will help in the reproduction of the animals, because in nature the animals tend to move from one place to another place. So in a particular national park, we should have certain core area where there no human should be allowed. The animals, lions, elephants, they should have their natural environment so that they can live freely. If there is more and more human interference, then they get disturbed. So, in a national park area, basically there is a core area, and there are certain core reserves which are connected between them. They are connected by the corridors. So, this corridor is basically area of movement of animals from one core reserve to the another core reserve area. Then, the outside of this core area is buffer area. In buffer area, human beings can be present, and then because we cannot separate forest and the local community of the human beings from there. So it is suggested that human being can be in the buffer area, but the entire dense core area should not be disturbed. Because if this corridor is affected, then animal cannot move from one place to another place. So if they will not move, then they are not going to reproduce. So to increase the population of an animal, there should be a free movement from one place to another place in a secured area. So that's why we say it is a core reserve area. So in every national park, we are going to have one core area, and outside that core area there will be a buffer area. So these national parks are widely used for recreation purpose also, and for conservation of species also. So we are using this national park area for many tourism purpose also. Let us go into the example of national parks of Africa. In Africa, we have Serengeti National Park, which is located in Tanzania, and it is home to lions, leopards, elephants. Then Masai Mara National Reserve, it is located in Kenya, and it also is having abundant wildlife, including the big five. I think you know what are the big five. Big five are lion, elephant, buffalo. Buffalo means wild buffalo, African buffalo, leopard, and rhinoceros. So these are very popular destination for safaris. Then Kruger National Park, which is located in South Africa, is another important national park of the Africa. Then Chobe National Park area, which is in Botswana, and it is well known for the elephant population. Then Bundi Impenetrable National Park. This is a national park located in Uganda, and it is mainly for the mountain gorillas. Then we have Virunga National Park in Congo, and it is known for the gorillas and chimpanzees, and is also known for the volcanic landscapes. Then Okavango Delta, which is again in the Botswana. This is a UNESCO World Heritage Sites, and is known for the hippos, crocodiles, and various bird species. Then Etosha National Park in Namibia is another one of the good national park for the salt pans and water holes. So a lot of aquatic species are there in this national park. Then Siemens Mountains National Park, located in Ethiopia, is again going to have a good amount of Ethiopian wolf and Geleda baboons. So we need to conserve these national park areas so that we can conserve these natural species like Ethiopia wolf, baboon. We cannot bring it to a cage, and we can grow them. They has to be in that in situ conservation. Then Hawange National Park is another area which is known for the elephants, lions, and antelope species. So now we come to the tiger reserves. Although in Africa we don't have any We don't have tigers, but they have big cats like lions, leopards, cheetahs. But in India, tiger is very important species, and many captive breeding plants programs are launched for these important species like tiger or elephant. What is captive breeding programs? Basically, captive breeding programs are that we bring that animals to a particular area, then we get it reproduce over that area, means increase their population, and then we release that population again to the forest area in their wildlife area. So this is very in India we have project tiger, then we have project crocodile, then we have project elephant also. So this was all in situ conservation. That means to increase or to conserve the animals in their native places. So now we are coming to the ex situ conservation. Ex situ means conservation of animals, plants away from their natural site. So we can grow them in labs, in laboratory condition, in zoo, then increase their population and then make it into the nature again. So what is this basically? In this ex situ conservation is mainly done in the zoo. Zoo is the area where the animals are kept, rare plants are kept, their population are increased with the help of different methods. Methods could be embryo transfer methods or artificial insemination methods, by which we can increase the population of of this endangered species. Then we can have somatic cell cloning. Somatic cell cloning is propagating one animals from the another, then increasing their population, then fostering many egg lay. So we can give the some certain chemical to animals so that more and more eggs are produced, and then we can have more population. For example, whooping crane, their conservation was done with the help of this method. Then translocation is another method in which we have bring out the animals and then introductions and reintroduction. We have translocated animals from one particular area to another area and then reintroduced to that particular area. So in introduction is translocation from to a new area, and reintroduction is translocation to a new population where original population has died out. So when we are introducing into an entirely new area, then it will be introduction, and the animals can become more exotic, and reintroduction where the population was already there but they have died out. So again we have conserved them, we have multiplied them, we have increased their population and then reintroduced that area. For plants, what we can do, we can have seed banks. Seed banks are the areas we can preserve this good quality and native seeds of the um, plants. Then we can store the seeds, and the last method is tissue culture. Tissue culture is the method by which we can cut down a small leaf, and with that we can grow in a lab condition and grow out complete plant from that tissue. Then lastly we come to the nature reserve. This is again an methods by which we can conserve the animals, and UNESCO have initiated this thing in 1971. through a project called Man and Biosphere Program. Due to this program, it has clearly indicated that we cannot separate human beings from the biosphere. Human beings are part of nature or the part of the biosphere. So it has bring into the concept of nature reserves, or we also call it as a biosphere reserves. So biosphere reserve is another method of conservation in which we are conserving that entire area, but we are allowing the human interference area. For example, in national park, human intervention is not allowed because of rules and regulation. But in biosphere reserves, the human are allowed to be allowed to go to the forest, and they can carry out small things, like they can bring the trees from fruits from that area, then they can have timbers. Okay, so it's a biosphere reserve. It was started in 1971, but the first was established in 1979. And now they have more than 425 biosphere reserve in 95 countries in the world. So in India, I think someone is joining. Okay. In India, the first biosphere reserve was Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve. So in Africa, again we come to your country. In Africa, we have Mount Kenya Biosphere Reserve, which is located in Mount Kenya, and it is protecting a lot of diverse ecosystem like forest, moorlands, alpine zones. Then we have Kruger to Canyons Biosphere Reserve. It is in South Africa, and this area is also highly rich in biodiversity. Then Omo Biosphere Reserve, which is in Ethiopia. This area is also preserving a lot of ecosystems, like they are having savannas, forest, wetlands along the Omo River. And this area is also having a lot of cultural diversity. Then we have Malto Drakensberg Park. This has a transboundary biosphere reserves, which is having a lot of cultural heritage, unique landscape, and biodiversity. So see, because the human is important part of biosphere reserve, so biosphere reserve is maintaining the cultural heritage of the local people. So that's why this concept of conservation was given high priority. So Nicolo Koba Biosphere Reserve is Senegal is another important biosphere reserve, which is also a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Then we have Marau National Park and Mara National Park Biosphere Reserve. See, in many parts, see for example in Maloto, they are going to have biosphere also and national park also. So in national park area, human beings are not allowed, so that animals are more preserved. But in biosphere reserve area, human can go and have, they can get their plants, they can get their medicines, they can get their timber, fuel wood, everything. So human is connected to the forest in biosphere reserve. So this is the main difference between national park and biosphere reserve. Then we have natural wetlands. Wetlands, I have already told you, these are the area where we have seasonally or permanent water. Then because of that presence of water, vegetation developed. And vegetation developed, so they are going to have a ecosystem. So wetland ecosystem develop. So why these natural ecosystem wetlands are important? Because these wetlands, they are kidneys of the landscape. They are acting as a filter, and they purify the water before going to the ocean. Okay. So and wetland can found in any area. In cold area also you can see the wetland. In hot area also you can see the wetlands. Some of the major wetlands of the Africa are Okavango Delta in Botswana. It is one of the most largest inland delta, and it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site also, having elephants, hippos, and many bird species. Then Nile River Delta in Egypt. It is again one of the important major wetland of the Africa, which is a major stopover for many migratory birds. Then we have Lake Chad, which is in Nigeria. So it is also having a good number of diverse flora and fauna, and a lot of people depend on this region. Then we have Sud, which is in South Sudan, and this is also his home to the wildlife, crocodiles, hippos, and many migratory species. Then we have in Tanzania, we have a Ramsar wetland called Lake Natron. Lake Natron is known for its alkaline water and is an important breeding site for flamingo. So this is also major wetland of Africa. Then we have in Malawi we have Rwande National Park, which is also having lots of wetlands. Then Tana River Delta in Kenya, it is also having good amount of coastal ecosystems like mangrove, sandbars, and estuaries. Then in Ethiopia also in Lake Tana is there, in which there is lots of, which is known for Blue Nile. Then Vaza National Park, Cameroon is also having a good amount of critical habitat for migratory birds and species. So this is the end of Unit 8. So now we come to the Unit 9. Any questions about Unit 8?
From my side, it's clear. I have no question.
Okay. So we move ahead to the Unit 9, that is on pollution.
Okay.
So pollution, you all know what is pollution basically. It is any undesirable change in physical, chemical, or biological characteristics of environment. So if the air is effective, air, water, and soil, these are main. Another one is noise. Okay. So basically, pollution is any undesirable. For example, what is the actual composition of an air? And when there is a pollution, additional chemical is there. So it is called as a pollution. If there is more smoke, more chemical, then it is pollution. So pollution is basically any undesirable change which is not required in the biological, physical, or chemical. I mean, there is a change in physical characteristics like there is change in the light, darker, or there is a change in the visibility. There is a change in temperature. These are physical characteristics. Chemical change means there is a change in chemical composition of that area. For example, if there is a water pollution, then the water, then the chemicals are there in the water. That's why there is a pollution. Then biological characteristics means In certain area, some of the animals are used to, sometimes some small plants and animals are released, and because of the pollution, their population is also affected. So if there is a change in biological characteristics, if there is change in the species composition of an environment, then also it is a pollution. So it can be air pollution, water pollution, soil pollution. Let us understand what is pollutant. Pollutant is the that agent that is changing the environmental component. For example, if there is a water and we put certain color agent in that, so that color agent will be, we put certain color, so that color will be the agent that is pollutant. So agent that is contaminating the environmental component is called pollutant. There are two types of pollutant. In fact, first classification of pollutant is that biodegradable and non-biodegradable. Biodegradable means those pollutant which when which is when into left into the environment, they will be degraded over a period of time. So in nature it will be degraded. For example, if we throw a paper, then after some times you can say that paper will shrink. After more period of time, you can see that will again become small paper, and after some time it will mix to the soil. So it is biodegradable pollutants which can be degraded by the microorganisms present in the soil. Then there is a non biodegradable pollutant. These are those pollutants which are not degraded by the microorganisms. So if we, for example, is plastics. Why we are banning the plastics? Because plastics, when we throw into any water body, any land, it will be there for longer. For after 5 years also you can see, after 10 years also you can see, and after 25 years and 50 years also, you can see that water bottle, oh sorry, or that plastic bottle in the what in there. Now you must have seen a lot of plastic pollution in water and in land area. Many kettles are eating the plastics, and when the animals die, when we dissect them, it is found that their body, their intestine is full of plastics. So plastics is very dangerous pollutant. Second classification of pollutant is point source or non-point source. Let us understand with the help of this example, this figure. Non-point source means sources which is not having one point, and point sources are the pollutant which is having a point source. For example, if we have a factory, here we have a factory, or oh sorry, here we have a factory or a wastewater treatment plant, here we have factory. So they are releasing their pollutant here only in the water body. So if we control this thing, then we can control the pollution. Okay. So point sources are also called controllable, controlled pollution. We can control that population. We can treat this water, this wastewater, and then we can release into the water body. Then the another example, another category is non-point. Non-point means there are several sources of pollution of of that particular pollutant. For example, if we have put a crop, we have put a fertilizer or pesticide in a crop, then the water, excess water will release and it will come down into the water body. So can we control this pollution? No, we cannot control this pollution. Then we have many habitats like rural homes, then we have streets or many urban area. We all have this waste material which is from our development, from our home plants, which are released through the waste material. So these all can be treated here, but many times these are not treated. They are collected in drain and they are ultimately going to the water body. So there is no one source of pollution. So these are called non-point source. So the point source, are the pollutants which have one point, and non-point means where they have several point of source of pollution. So there are five type of pollutions: air pollution, water pollution, noise pollution, soil pollution, and radioactive pollution. Let us come to the air pollution. Air pollution, basically, air is most important part of life. Without air, we cannot survive. We can survive without food. We can survive without water for some times, but without air, we cannot survive. So air is most important. Oxygen is most important requirement for all the living beings, not for human beings only. Animals also require oxygens. Plants also require carbon dioxide. So everyone requires clean gases. So air is very important. Let us understand what are the types of air pollutants are there. Majorly, we can have three sources of air pollution: natural sources, mobile sources, and stationary sources. Natural means pollution which is released from, you must have seen volcanoes. When the volcanic eruptions are there, so lots of toxic gases are released into the atmosphere. So these are natural sources of the air pollution. Then next is stationary sources. Stationary sources means those sources of pollution, air pollution, which is released by factories, industries. Then third is mobile sources. Mobile sources means our transportation, our vehicles, car, trucks, trains, aeroplanes, all these release air pollution. So wherever car will go, pollution will it will release pollution to the atmosphere. So this is the mobile source of pollution. Another another classification is primary pollutant and secondary air pollutants. Primary pollutants means those pollutants which are directly sourced from these three sources. For example, carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, PM means particulate matter, sulfur dioxide SO2, nitrous oxide NO, NO2 nitric dioxide, most of the hydrocarbons, most of the suspended particulate. So when these are released to the atmosphere, these are called primary pollutant. When these primary pollutant react with the other gases or the water vapor in the atmosphere, it will form the secondary pollutants. So example of this is nitric acid, sulfuric acid, and then it will come down to the earth in the form of acid rain. So acid rain, smog, global warming, ozone depletion, these are some of the examples of air pollution and its atmospheric problems. So the air pollution is when in air pollution is there, it is affecting the atmospheric process. They are primary pollutants are converted into the secondary pollution. So there is a change in reactions. So what is acid rains basically? We will learn about this in next session also because it's a global environmental issue. But here also I will let you know. The primary sources like nitric oxide and sulfur dioxide, these are released from the factories and industries. They interact with water vapor, the water which is present in the cloud, and they are converted into the nitric acid and sulfuric acid. This is nitric acid and this is sulfuric acid. So NO2 plus water will form nitric acid and SO2 plus water will form sulfuric acid. These are very strong acids and they come down along with the rain. So this will be called as a acid rain. Another example of air pollution is we have in India in 1969 there was a Union Carbide Corporation. One factory was set up in Bhopal, one of the city, and in December 1979 there was a release of methyl isocyanate. Okay, so because of this methyl isocyanate storage leaking, this chemical leaked into the entire area, and next day, toxic gases were released from that factory, from that industrial setup, and more than 1 lakh people were affected because of this toxic gas. So they have problems in the eyes, nose, throats, and lungs. And not only that that adult person, the small children, even in the future, reproductive also, there was change in the reproductive organs. So it has passed down to the generation also. So much severe that air pollution happened. Next one is water pollution. Water pollution is again any physical, chemical, and biological change in the quality of water. We have understood in first lecture also, first or second lecture, that why water is important. Water is important because it is a universal solvent. It can absorb anything. It can dissolve anything. So if it can dissolve anything, so it can attract pollution also. That is the main issue. And water is very important for living being of all of us. For all the living organisms, plants need water, we need water, animals need water. So water pollution can be through sewage, garbage, refuse, industrial or agriculture waste like fertilizers and pesticides. Then and recently we are going to have more and more ocean pollution also. Many countries are um, depositing, throwing out their pollution into the deep ocean, which is also called as a ocean dumping. So oceans have become the sink of pollutant. But we should understand that oceans are part of our planet Earth. If it is affecting the entire ocean, then slowly it will affect us also. Then we have oil spills also from the ships that also cause the marine pollution. Most of the area, I think you must be knowing, most of the developed or the large cities are having the coastal area, because in water transport areas is still one of the major source of transportation. So many countries are still using waterways and ships and many vessels for transporting their or exporting their goods to the different countries. So these what marine water gets affected because of the oil spills, and because of the pollution in that area, the water pollution is also affecting the entire ocean also. Then the major sources I have already informed you. It is from the sewage, it is from the agriculture runoff, sludge, industrial effluents, water heat generating processes, oil spills, grease discharge from the shipping industries. Then there is accidental discharge of oil from the tankers. This is also causing the water pollution. Now we come to the soil pollution. Soil pollution is in mining area. We do the blasting of uh, underground mines, that is causing the pollution. Then we have plastics, which is a huge source of soil pollution. Then the garbage, household waste, landfill sites, these are also one of the major source of pollution. Then agriculture waste, the waste material from cultivation, this is also causing the soil pollution. Then erosion is what? Erosion we have learned in a previous session. It is erosion of the soil and water. So this is also causing the soil pollution. We will understand about some of these pollution in next session also, in hazardous waste management. Then we have noise pollution. We can if we listen a song sing a song, it is good to hear. But when the volume of any sound is very high, then it is called as a noise and it can cause the noise pollution. It can cause stress or it can also lead to the hearing loss of hearing ability. In many industrial operations, noise happens because of machines. Then on roads, we have vehicles, then railways, aircraft, military arms, construction work, even the recreation appliances like television, radio. If we hear in high volume, it can cause noise pollution. And noise pollution is very dangerous for small children's or for elderly people. They get irritated with the sound because the noise is not only affecting the hearing ability, it is also affecting the air pressure within the human body. So it can have very so much of the health and behavioral disorders. So how we can control the noise pollution? We can have many of the regulations and legislation to control the noise pollution. Then we can install noise barriers. Like we can have sound walls along the highways, all the railways, all the residential area so that it can block the high volume area to the high noise to the uh, nearby area. So we can use sound wall or acoustics fences. Then we can use noise reducing material in constructions. For example, if we use double glazed windows or acoustic insulations or noise absorbing substance surfaces, then it can decrease the indoor noise levels. Then we can do the urban planning so that we can have a green spaces or quiet space, quiet zones should be there, especially in the area of hospitals, schools, or the residential area. We can have noise barrier in transportation. For example, we should have road surfaces such that there should be no voice of the skidding. So low noise tires can be used. Quieter engines can be used for the vehicles and trains. Then we should be more and more aware of the we should be have more awareness about the noise because many of us don't know that there are so many adverse effects of noise. Then we should use vegetation, plant trees and vegetation in urban areas so that it can absorb and block the sounds. We can have noise cancelling technology. Noise cancelling technology, we I think you must have seen in many of the earphones and headphones in the mobile. If we put on the earphone, then we cannot hear the noise of the surrounding areas. So that can be used by the workers or laborers which are working in the industries which are having high volume of noise. So these are some of the methods of controlling of pollution of noise. Do you have any questions?
Yes, Ma. I have a question on the noise pollution because I'm not very convinced to say if noise can be a pollution because yes, of course it annoys the life of humans, but but does it have direct impact to the environment?
Yeah. Sorry, there was a issue something. Yeah. You were saying something about noise pollution?
Yes, I'm telling, I'm asking a question. Why do we consider the noise pollution as noise pollution, even if it doesn't have direct impact on the environment? It's not like air pollution, like pollutants, air pollutants, or wastewater. So for me, why the noise can be considered as a noise pollution?
Okay. What happens in for environment purpose now for nature environment? Basically, many places, if there is large amount of noise, then there is a health issues with the animals, and even if it affect the psychological and physiological also, it means it affect their stress level. So there are many health conditions. Because of health condition, their survival is affected. In fact, in forest and places, if you if you have loud music, then you will see all the animals will get disturbed. And in city also, if you must have seen in parties on when we use loudest music, then many people, some people enjoy it, but certain people, they will put hands on their ear because they get disturbed. So this is affecting the
Ah,
survival of living beings.
okay, I understood well now. Thank you so much, Ma.
Yeah. Any other questions or any other queries?
From me, it's my only one question.
Okay. Yeah, Haruna, do you have any questions?
No, there is no any question. Everything is clear, ma.
Okay. So I think it's only 10 minutes left. So uh, if I start the next unit, I will not be able to complete it. So we will start the next unit in the next session only. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much for patiently hearing and listening. Okay. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so
Okay,
much
thanks.
for the cars.
Okay, thanks you too, ma.